Well, I thought liberals were afraid that we should be able to say gay. That was their whole argument against the Florida education bill, that they were worried that we wouldn't be able to say gay and we should have the freedom to. Well, now liberals are worried that you would say the word gay and they want to punish people for it. They want the word gay and homosexual to be removed from our lexicon and not used either on social media or in the print media. These are words now that can get you in trouble because they're considered offensive. It's hard to keep up, but we're going to try. This comes from the latest GLAAD Media Reference Guide. Interestingly enough, it's the 11th edition. If you read 1984, his whole job is working on the 11th edition of Newspeak. That's what we've got right now. It's psychobabble in order to confuse us about the world that we live in. So let's get through it because there's a whole new set of rules that we can use. And it's not just straight people that will be punished for using them. It's gay people too. Now, I've been telling you all along that the trans lobby is anti-gay. If you didn't believe me, you're going to believe me now. And I'm going to tell you, I told you so.
Why are they so powerful?
A lot of reasons. We've been through that, but let's table that for now. A popular TikToker named Mr. Buck Angel has had videos removed for this very reason. And look at the reason that TikTok gave Mr. Buck Angel: gay and homosexual. You can't do that. And it's not like it's pornographic in nature. It's that Mr. Buck Angel is using these terms and is not supposed to anymore. Now, Mr. Buck Angel is a female who lives as a man, calls herself female who lives as a man, not transgender man. She says, I'm female and I live and present as a man. And here is Mr. Buck Angel using these words and saying they don't want the word queer forced upon them.
We've been doing it in this community forever. So you remember how long I've been around. And prior to transition, I lived as a gay woman for probably 20 years of my life, if not more. So that being said, we didn't like that word, but eventually we took it back because I was part of many organizations back in the day. Where, like Queer Nation, where we really helped really get the message out about AIDS. And all of my friends died of AIDS, by the way, just so you know. I've had a rough time in this community and really worked hard to build a space where we can all sort of live our lives in peace and quiet and not have the world attack us. And then these new so-called trans people come along, activists, trans, queer, whatever the heck else you're all identified, without even understanding your history or your past, and just using your entitlement now to sort of push the rest of us out after we did a lot of the work to help get us in this space. And if you notice, I say we, not me. Many of us fought to get to here. And now you're going to force us to use a word that really was used against us on so many levels. It's our choice whether or not we want to use that word. Many of us find it offensive. Many of us will not touch that word, and you have to respect that. The word homosexual or gay or lesbian or transsexual is something that means something to many of us, and you will not take that word away from us. You're playing a very dangerous game, trans, queer community. You're playing a very dangerous game, and you'll lose. You will lose.
Okay, now Mr. Buck Angel goes on to say, we need to then find platforms where we can say homosexual. We fought for gay rights, which is another word you can't use. I'm going to show you that in a second. And we're going to call ourselves homosexuals, no matter what you say. Well, for now, we can say those words on YouTube, but let's see for how long, because here are the rules, according to GLAAD, which is the Gay and Lesbian Association, right? Now they are saying, here's how they define homosexual. This is a media reference guide, which is to be forced upon the rest of us, that homosexual is an outdated clinical term, considered derogatory and offensive. They don't exactly say why. They just say that, you know, already the Associated Press, the New York Times, and the Washington Post have decided to restrict usage of the term. So if these media outlets are saying they're not going to use it, then the rest of us are going to be expected to follow along. Who's asking a question?
I was like, not only does it not say why, it doesn't say derogatory to whom.
Yes.
Right. Like who's like, and that's kind of important, isn't it? If you're going to like ban something because it offends people, shouldn't you also know who is being offended by it? Is anybody? Or
Right.
are the people that are actually consider them homosexuals, are they offended by the word homosexual?
Right.
I don't.
I have not heard that. They're just saying that. Now, according to GLAAD, gay is fine, though. So who knows why Mr. Buck Angel had videos removed from TikTok for gay content, but you have to think that that's coming too. Here's their definition of gay. And that is okay to say. One thing that they continue in this long reference guide to say, but don't use words like the gays, because that's offensive and it's something that old people say. While or the homosexuals, they also don't like the transsexuals.
Is he one of them? They're gays?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really say exactly why. I think they think that it's kind of reductive to, you know, like the Asians or whatever. I'm not exactly sure. And, you know, they're saying what terms are offensive for their community only, but the term cisgender is totally fine. Now, that usually means non-transgendered person. Most non-transgendered people, myself included, really don't identify with this word and don't like it. But GLAAD thinks it's totally fine to force it on us while they define how we should talk about them. Also, in their definitions, they say you cannot talk anymore about gay rights, even if you are for them. Now, think about if you're somebody like Mr. Buck Angel or his friends or her friends who fought so hard for gay rights as a movement, as a political movement, especially in the Clinton administration. And now they're being told you can't even say that. You can't say gay rights because people who are for the LGBTQ community are not asking for rights that are different from the rights everyone has. They're simply seeking full equality under the law and to end discrimination based on sexual orientation, gender identity, and gender expression. So
where are they being discriminated against based on those things, I wonder?
Because
Because you ask them and they can never really point it out. Like, what rights do we have that they don't?
that's a good point. They, you know, you can't discriminate based on sexual orientation or gender. So what they're saying is their rights are not different from anybody else's rights, so you shouldn't use gay rights, but they do like to scream that trans rights are human rights. So you can say trans rights, you can't say gay rights. And again, all of this revolves around single sex biology, because if sex doesn't exist, there's no gay at all. There's no lesbians if sex doesn't exist. It's just that if you're a lesbian, you are a feminine person attracted to a feminine person, but there's no sex there, right? So it's a total erasure of homosexuality. We see it right before our eyes. Here's some other terms that you are not supposed to say now, according to GLAAD. Born a man, born a woman, biologically male, biologically female. You should not be saying these things. Biological boy, biological girl, genetically male or genetically female. You cannot say those things because they are anti-trans. And they say often used to disregard and discredit transgender girls and deny them access to society. So if it is a little boy who wants to use the girls' bathroom and you say, well, that is a biological boy, you're hurting that boy's feelings and you're denying their gender identity. So you can't say anything like that. Note that you can
saying that in transgender with gender on it. Like, why not remove gender from it?
Does it say there that you can say? Yeah, you can say, yeah, best practices. You're right. Let's put that back up on the screen. Good. You're doing your homework, David. Very good. You can say girl, woman, transgender girl, transgender woman, boy, man. Oh, should there be a comment? Yeah. Should there be a comma there? Look at that.
They didn't put a comma there, so
You can't say boy, man?
because there's no
No,
comma.
this is best practices.
Boy, man.
Oh, that's going to be Disney's new movie, Boy Man.
There's no girl woman. That's unfair.
Yeah, there's got to be
You can say girl, you can say woman, but if they're boy men, you have to call them boy men. You can't say male. You can't. It's just boy man.
I'm out.
So
We got it.
It's a boy man.
This is why I'm not leaving
I
the
think they're
house.
missing a comma. You got to think there's missing a comma, right? Because there's no boy man.
I mean, again, the money, the biopharmaceutical complex. I see a lot of people in the chat saying brought to you by Pfizer. It's like, where is this lobby coming from? Where are these people that have this much power When in my normal afternoon, I don't see any of these boy men walking around. I don't see any of this. Where are these people coming together with this type of lobbying power?
Well, and to what end? What do they want? What they want is for us to deny biological sex altogether so that they can then destroy it. And again, it has nothing to do with gay rights, because as we can see right before our very eyes, the gay rights that we stand upon for the last 40 years is being eroded right before our very eyes. And it's interesting, that you can say man and woman, and you can, and at least I read this as an acknowledgement that a trans man is not a man, because you can distinguish between a trans man and an actual woman. And woman, I think here means what we think it means, but I'm not sure. That may or may not be progress. Now, note this reaction from Gays Against Groomers. They are saying, wow, GLAAD has really outdone themselves this time. It's an organization whose name literally stands for the Gay and Lesbian Alliance Against Defamation, has now come out and declared the word homosexual to be outdated, derogatory, and offensive. They've also replaced the term same gender loving, completely erasing biological sex, gay people, and the decades of progress we fought to achieve in this country. Gender ideology is a disease, and our movement is a cure. We will not be silenced by this Orwellian newspeak. Now, incidentally, because he mentions Orwell, and I mentioned that I was just rereading 1984 this week, and in the final part of the book, after the book ends, they talk about how newspeak is to redefine all language into parts A, B, and C. And the B vocabulary consists of words deliberately constructed for political purpose, and they are supposed to be compound words. And so that, like, literally this is from 1984, which was written in the 50s. And in order to confuse us for the purposes of control. So for instance, face crime, thought crime, double speak. Well, now we see all of these words here that are compound words: transgender man, same-sex loving, same gender loving, right? It's all in a purpose to confuse and control. And I was reading this and I'm like, yes, we're here. That's
so many people
exactly
in the chat are like, I'm confused. So so if you're confused, then I guess the solution is...
That's the purpose. They're trying to confuse you.
But my point is, don't fall for it. I don't give a shit what they say.
Right.
I don't give a rat's ass what GLAAD has to say. If I see a man dressed up as a woman, that's a man. You're a biological man. I don't care that you're playing dress up. You're putting on lipsticks, or you're a boy. You're a boy man. I don't care what you're dressing up as and what you want to put on woman face, and you want to do whatever you're going to do. That's fine. Don't harm my children. Don't push your ideology down my throat. And don't force it on other people. And fine, live your life. The libertarian in me, live your life, right? But don't push it on other people.
Right. And so somebody's saying, let me just address this comment first. Somebody's saying, this is like the mainstream media. I'm not telling you to do this. I'm warning you about the language that is going to be forced upon you early so that you can be prepared to push back. So don't tell me I'm like the main. I'm not going to be using these words.
Yeah. No, the mainstream media. The mainstream media, CNN would be doing this and not even telling you why they're doing it, and they're suddenly like, "Ooh, you just said homosexual." Oh, and they'd look at their guest askance on their show.
We don't use that word anymore.
That's offensive. You're offensive.
That's like Oriental. We don't
talk about homo. No.
That's a good one.
No, but I'm saying, like, they talk about gender being a social construct, gender being fluid, and all this other stuff. But then they try to force themselves into the gender binary, and it's like, none of it makes any sense. It's like, why do we have to have this? Like,
we don't.
Can't people just be what they are?
Well,
right, we don't. We should fight back against that.
Right.
Exactly.
That's what makeup artist Jeffree Star says about this language. He is a boy. He acknowledges that he's a boy, but also a very talented makeup artist who I happen to follow for tips on makeup, and says that, I don't think they should be trying to hijack the language or trying to fool you, but you need someone like me to say it. We've unbleeped this video, right? He says the F word a lot, right?
Unbleeped it, or
we've bleeped it?
No, I bleeped it. I bleeped it. Well, I didn't. I hate the bleep sound, so I just muted the offensive
all right.
words.
Okay, so I don't have to warn you about those words.
So to be clear, what we're seeing here is a man who dresses up as a woman, okay, and is furious at how
At gender ideology.
Gender ideology. Okay, just so we understand the context here. Okay, play it.
Not into all the other bullshit. I think. What other bullshit? The they and them. Yeah. And all that extra shit we added during the pandemic because everyone was so bored on their fucking houses. They just started to make up more shit and more shit.
More stuff.
Yeah. That's where the conservatives like me because I'm just real.
Yeah, you do have a conservative vibe to
You're
you.
not they and them. You're trans, you're male, or you're female.
And you're standing on that.
So mad when I say that. How are you a they? What the f does that mean? It's stupid is what it is.
Yeah.
But you need someone like me that looks like me to say it. Because if you say it, it turns into you're homophobic, you hate trans people, you hate gays. And it's just how you feel. You don't hate anyone. You just think it's stupid.
Yeah. So we don't hate
that's like
anybody. We just think that language is
offensive
stupid.
tranny. Do you watch Marcus Daub, the offensive tranny? He's called transphobic, and he's trans.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no. Is the drag queen? Is it that one?
No, offensive tranny, the young guy with dark hair. That's a trans man. I can't remember. I can never remember which way it goes.
No,
Trans man.
my algorithm doesn't suggest that to me.
Well, then you're not going to know what the best
God.
mascara is to get. Because
this guy
Jeffree
talks
Star
about the
says
mental
to get a
health issues
mascara, and my sister and I march to the store and get that mascara because he knows what he's talking about. So.
Well, and I like
Marcus is
the
in the same camp as the
As
guy we
Jeffree
had
Star.
earlier. I can't remember.
but
But
no,
he's
that,
called the offensive tranny because he covers the issues from a trans point of view against all of this ideology.
oh, good. And it reminds me of that clip or that full screen graphic that you had a few minutes ago, with that from Gays Against Groomers.
Yeah.
And they're slamming it, for like on gender ideology and saying
Yeah.
it's a mental disease. So they're calling it out.
Right.
I mean, they're like saying, all right, we're calling this out here. This is literally stands for Gay and Lesbian Alliance Against has now come out and declared the word homosexual to be outdated, derogatory, offensive. They have replaced the term with same gender loving, completely erasing biological sex, say gay people and decades of progress we fought to achieve it. Gender ideology is a disease.
Yeah.
And our movement is the cure, they say.
Eyeball Paul says this is very tiresome. You are correct, sir.
Yes.
It is very tiresome. It's hard to unpack the doublethink, but we're doing it for you. And again, this is for you to know what's coming down the woke pipeline so you can either respond to it. You can choose to use it if you want to. You can choose not to. I'm just giving you a heads up that this is the lingo that the woke army wants us to use.
Yeah, if you see it coming in your local governments, you see it coming in your local municipalities, you see it with your local public libraries, you see it in your local schools, you can stand up against this. Like, we are in a culture war right now, and we are literally in a country that's declining faster than the Roman Empire at this point, and we can stop it if we all stand up.
We've
and try
already
to
seen
stop it.
them in Congress and Senate saying we can't use the word woman and mother and all that stuff in legislation anymore. Like,
Or illegal
that is-
aliens. Now it's undocumented person. Right.